Welcome to another episode of the LA Life Podcast. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Lizzy Makin, and I am in charge of all the kiddos who are newborns through 5th grade here at LCC. So any of those kids, they're in my program on Sunday mornings, and we have a blast. But I'm going to be doing your podcast today since Brad is still on vacation, and I'm going to get started. Everyone has a Goliath in our life, whether it be mentally, physically, relationally. Something comes up in our lives that we have to decide that we are either going to let it take us down or we're going to beat this Goliath. And I'm sure most of you know the story of David and Goliath. Probably learned about it when you were a kid. And David was the underdog. He was young. He was tiny. He took care of the flock. And here is Goliath, this huge Philistine giant that everyone feared, but David didn't. And here's David, the little one, the brother that wasn't even brought with his other brothers by his father to be considered to be king. Yet he was the one that was chosen. He was the one that everyone thought would not be chosen, yet he was the one. And I'm going to read a couple of scriptures about the story of David and Goliath. So here we go. In 1 Samuel 17:32 through 37. Don't worry about this Philistine, David told Saul. I'll go fight him. Don't be ridiculous, Saul said. There's no way you can fight this Philistine and possibly win. You're only a boy, and he's been a man of war since youth. But David persisted. I've been taking care of my father's sheep and goats, he said. When a lion or a bear comes to steal a lamb from the flock, I go after it with a club and rescue the lamb from its mouth. If the animal turns on me, I catch it by the jaw and club it to death. I have done this to both lions and bears, and I'll do it to this pagan Philistine too, for he has defied the armies of the living God. The Lord who rescued me from the claws of the lion and the bear will rescue me from this Philistine. Saul finally consented. All right, go ahead, he said, and may the Lord be with you. Now, I'm sure we've all faced something in our life that may seem like it is the biggest thing we'll ever face in our entire life. And it kind of overtakes us, and we have to make that decision. Are we going to defeat the Goliath? Are we going to let it defeat us? I'm sure everyone's faced that Goliath in their life, and to us, it is huge. It's that big battle that we have to make it through. And for us, it is the most important thing. But then we may have other people in life who tell you what they're going through and what they're experiencing, how they're experiencing it, what it makes them feel, and then you might think to yourself, mine's not that important, or maybe mine's not that bad. Am I overreacting? Should I even be thinking that this is huge? And then we start to second guess whether it is big for us, even though it's our own Goliath versus theirs. And then we get to the point where we think less of ourselves because we don't feel as important. We push ourselves to the back and say, it's no big deal. We'll deal with it later. And we let that Goliath slowly overtake us. Now I'm going to read something that I had a friend recently tell me. She going through some medical things right now, and I've gone through my fair share of medical things. And the words were, how did you manage to get through it all? This is absolutely nothing in comparison to what you have gone through. And it's hard to compare my experiences with other people's experiences because of the level of intensity of my surgeries and things that I went through. But I love when someone says that to me, honestly, because it gives me a chance to say, my Goliath is different than your Goliath. What you're facing is that big, huge part of your life. And it's not that it's less than. It's not that you're less than. That's your big piece of life to work through, and to have the faith for God that you're going to get through what you're currently facing. One is not bigger than the other. One is not more important than the other. We're all children of God. And we all have that ability to face our Goliath, just like David did when he got 5 smooth stones and his sling, and he knew that with that, he could face Goliath. His words were, in verse 45, you come to me with sword, spear, and javelin, but I come to you in the name of the Lord of heaven's armies, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied. And each of our paths lead to different people, different situations that we'll face, but these are each different times that we can then go and testify to others of how we dealt with our Goliath, what we did. David had 5 stones in a sling. What did we have when we faced that Goliath? If there's one thing I'd love for you to get out of this little podcast, is that you have the ability to face your Goliath just like David did with only 5 smooth stones. And you can share this with other people so that they can then in turn face their Goliaths as well. Just know you're all important. You're loved by God. And you are forever a child of God. And you are not less than. You are worthy. And you're loved. Hope you're having a great week. We'll see y'all on Sunday.